Today we are going to explain an action, mystery thriller movie called Russian Raid. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The film opens with a Russian military operative named Yasha, who has been sent to track and report the activities of their new general whom they call the Ghost. They witnessed Ghost and his men selling the army arsenal to a third party in private. Yasha and his partner are in disguise behind the bushes and are armed with snipers. When Yasha takes a look at Ghost, he realizes he is the man who shot his father in front of him when he was a kid. He gets a flashback where the general sends his men to assassinate Yasha's father because of their rivalry. In present times, Yasha loses his mind and takes a shot at Ghost with his sniper. The bullet penetrates Ghost's eye, initiating a crossfiring between Ghost's men and their buyers. Ghost's men immediately take him away and trigger all the landmines. Yasha's partner dies, whereas Yasha miraculously survives. Sadly, he's suspended from the military for his actions. The scene then cut to the current day where Yasha wakes up and does some basic warm-up exercises before leaving for his new mission. He goes to a dining place where he is supposed to meet up with his team members that are arranged by Reshala, the guy who's conducting the plan. Yasha finds the new guys very unprofessional, so he picks up an argument with Reshala, saying the rookies are not a perfect fit for the situation. Reshala gives him the option to leave or stay because he doesn't care about what Yasha thinks. For his personal means, Yasha agrees to compromise and carry out the plan. Two women are also hired to conduct their paperwork. Yasha goes to them and instructs them to strictly follow his command in any situation. The new guys point out that they should be provided with new guns in their mission, but Reshala lays out the details about how all of these guys are restricted by the ADF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, from using any kind of weapon because of violating their laws in the past. Reshala admits to not messing with the ADF. Reshala takes the team to an abandoned factory to carry out their mission, where they have to neutralize the private security for Reshala to take over the factories, which is manufacturing and selling vodka. Reshala lays out some basic details, revealing the factory to be a missile manufacturing place back in the day. Yasha hands out bags of security uniforms to his soldiers to blend in, but they act immature and refuse to put on those uniforms. Yasha and one of the men head to the wiring unit where they mess with the CCTV cameras. Yasha's man disables the current footage on the security monitors and plays old footage so they can move around freely without being doubted. Now one of the soldiers reaches 3 security guards and cusses at them, displaying a very childish behavior. When the security attacks him, he effortlessly knocks them out and shows it off to Yasha, who's observing him from a distance. They have to take out a large number of security men, so they work according to Yasha's strategy and start taking down other security members as well. Reshala previously tells Yasha that the owner of the factory hired a large number of men to keep a look at the workers so they don't cheat or rebel. Now, Yasha's men sweep every floor of the building and zip tie every security guard of the factory. On the shop floor, they take down the bodyguards of the shareholders of the factory who have come together under one roof for a meeting with the factory owner. Meanwhile, a girl named Sev, who happens to be working with the factory owner, raises suspicions by secretly keeping an eye on the owner's work. She locates something illegal in a secret room and takes pictures of it. Back in the factory, a man shows up other than the security guards. He gives Yasha's men a tough time and breaks one of the soldiers' ribs. After taking care of the private bodyguards, Yasha commands everyone to seal the shop floor and meet him in the locker room. One security guard, who witnesses everything from inside the washroom, sneaks out of the back window and goes to report the intrusion to the colonel. When the guard speaks of the current situation at the factory, the colonel gets the man locked up, indicating he's siding with Reshala. Subsequently, the power is cut out, leaving everyone in the dark. The CEO, Vasily, consults the security supervisor about the situation. He states that he has called the engineering department and they are on their way to reboot the generators. One of the shareholders has sent his son to attend the meeting. Despite not being taken seriously, he keeps coming up with authoritative figures of speech. Soon, the power is rebooted and things start functioning. Yasha and his men are on the staircase under a security camera. Yasha quickly takes his men away from the camera. Somewhere else, Reshala and the ladies of the team are shown sitting with their tech guy. The tech guy brings to their attention the power reboot according to which the cameras have started functioning. Ending their trickery of replaying old footage, the cameras are now providing current footage to the monitoring room. Soon, the guy who's monitoring the cameras reports the activities going on in the factory to his supervisor. He immediately reports this to Vasily and other members of the board. They lock the main door of their floor and arm themselves with giant axes and swords. Yasha's men break open the door. Reshala comes forward and politely negotiates the ownership of the factory at a reasonable rate, but Vasily chooses violence over it. Yasha and his men overpower and dominate the giant and strong shareholders and gather them at a table where Reshala shows up with the ladies who will work on the documentation of the ownership handover from Vasily to Reshala. He shows them a folder that contains dirt on Vasily and other board members. He has proof of them committing multiple actions that go against the law, such as blackmailing, larceny, and embezzlement. He plans on taking the folder to the district attorney in the court if they refuse to hand over the factory's ownership to Reshala. Reshala. Meanwhile, Reshala's men work on breaking open a deadbolt behind which Vasily is hiding with a shotgun. When the guys try to use an axe to open the door, Vasily opens fire, injuring one of Reshala's men. They gather around Reshala and remind him of his claim about no guns involved. Reshala, despite being surprised, tells them to cooperate and stay focused on their mission. Subsequently, Colonel Alexander shows outside the factory with a search warrant after someone nearby the factory reported a gunshot. Through a comm, Reshala communicates with Alexander and tells him to go back since he has a deal with them. Alexander reminds him that the deal was to let them do their work in silence, but they have been reported by someone who heard the gunshots from the factory. Vasily also shows up at the window and tells the colonel to jerk off from here since they have it under control. As the colonel and his officers wait outside the factory, Yasha comes to Reshala and his men and commands them to focus on Vasily's situation. This prompts the leader of Reshala's men to oppose Yasha and cuss at him. He then storms out of the security room, only to see Eva, the secretary, sneaking on her floor. When Eva sees the leader, she runs back and locks the door, but the leader breaks the door and gets her. Yasha shows up in Eva's support, prompting the leader to attack him. He smacks the furniture around the walls and clears up the room to fight. Despite being skillful, the leader is overpowered by Yasha because his methods are incomparable. He lets Eva go outside where she is caught by Reshala and the rest of his men. Yasha goes after her, but everyone attacks Yasha at the same time and overpowers him. Reshala places the girl in front of the security camera and starts stripping her clothes off so Vasily might open up the door. This trick works out. Vasily shows up with his shotgun and threatens them to leave the girl. Using the distraction as an opportunity, Yasha opens an attack on the men, which also gains Vasily's trust. He opens fire once again and takes in Yasha and Eva with him. He locks the doors, leaving Reshala defeated outside. Inside, it is revealed that Yasha is Vasily's nephew, and he joined Reshala's mission just so he could get to Vasily and ask about the people who shot his father. Eva also blows her cover, revealing herself to be an assistant detective who was involved in a secret case of busting Vasily's illegal weaponry. Her boss busted one of the trucks filled with illegal weapons, but he went missing and the close went cold, which is why Eva worked undercover and tried to spy on Vasily. Before Eva and Yasha can manipulate Vasily further, the head of the police department shows up fully armed outside the factory. They meet up with Colonel Alexander, who is currently not doing his job. He says that the head has been reported of a gunshot the second time, so he's going to break into the factory with his men. Yasha hands over the shotgun to his uncle Vasily and moves to another floor with a gun through the vents. When the head of the police breaks in and surrounds the main floor, Reshala claims to be the new owner to avoid gun violence. He further adds that the people with him are entertainment dancers and rappers who have come to put on a show in celebration of his ownership. However, this doesn't end well. The head police open fire and shoot the colonel and his officers. The leading guy and his right hand from Reshala's team get shot. Before the head police can shoot further off Reshala's men, Yasha shoots the head police using a handgun from a distance. Vasily also sneaks his shotgun out of his room and shoots officers. Yasha finally beats the last officer and saves Reshala's men. Vasily also comes out and surrenders. Reshala's men rebel against him after losing one of their friends in the shooting. They try to shoot at him using a dead officer's gun, but the police lieutenant, who had been hiding during the shooting, comes out and threatens everyone carrying a gun. Vasily talks to the police and lets Reshala's men escape from the back, sparing their lives. Other board members also come out and cuss at Vasily for lying to them, since Vasily is not the real owner but Reshala is. Yasha then tells his team to free the tied-up security guards and escape from the back tunnel because he knows the ghost is coming soon. Everyone, including Vasily and Eva, takes the back tunnel and uses the bus to flee, but midway half of the people are shot down by the ghost soldiers who are equipped with military weapons. He takes hostage the rest of the people on the bus and asks his soldiers to patrol the factory. He asks Vasily about the man who was trying to mess with the warehouse where he has his illegal weapon hidden. Yasha, who has aimed for Ghost's head with his sniper, recalls his grandfather's wise words and doesn't pull the trigger. The ghost takes the hostages to another room where he shoots Reshala for coming forward and admitting he initiated the terrorism and the factory. He then takes off his bulletproof jacket and gives away his gun. He prompts Reshala's hired Russians to combat him. In one-on-one combat, he brutally takes their lives. Meanwhile, Ghost soldiers drop a package in the factory with a foam attached to it. Yasha attacks them, which alerts Ghost. He leaves some of his men behind with the hostages and leaves with his squad wearing a bulletproof vest and fully armed. Yasha is super sneaky. He comes out of the factory before Ghost enters it. He uses his fast reflexes to shoot Ghost's men and frees Vasily and everyone else. While they head back to take the bus and flee, Yasha goes back inside the factory and sneakily takes down an entire squad that was patrolling the factory before Ghost's entrance. Hurting himself, he starts shooting Ghost's second squad too. Outside, the leader of Reshala's men decides to stay and help Yasha since all of his friends are dead because of Reshala. Vasily and Eva also stay back. They grab the dead militants' weapons and head inside the factory. Meanwhile, Ghost takes 3 of his soldiers and heads out. knowing Yasha will take them down too. By the time Yasha takes down the rest of the squad, Ghost exits and gets attacked by Vasily, Eva, and the ringleader. Sadly, Ghost's men are too skillful to be defeated. The leader takes one for his team and detonates a bomb that was planted by Ghost earlier. Everyone dies except Ghost. Now, Yasha comes out for a final fight with Ghost, who has no idea of who he is. He tries to bribe Yasha with money, but Yasha confesses he wants justice, since he had shot his father in front of him when he was only a child. Yasha fights with him with bare hands. At first, he gives him a good beating and later shoots him multiple times. Eva and Vasily come out supporting Yasha, but the lieutenant shows up claiming to arrest all three of them. Eva and Vasily try to convince him to let Yasha go since he saved them from a criminal, but the lieutenant doesn't listen. Yasha also surrenders, saying he's a soldier who was tired of running. Here the film ends. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.